Hello everyone, welcome back to another oSTEM Hackathon training video. My name is Sage, my pronouns are she, they, and I know it's been a long time since the video came out, but I got really busy with finals and other things in my life, so I'm just going to be finishing up the videos over winter break, and hopefully when you come back for winter quarter, you'll be able to watch all of these and prepare for the hackathons. And also before I go into this video, I just wanted to give you a reminder to fill out the registration for Camp Polyhacks if you want to participate in that. It's just a small hackathon that's going to be January 21st to 22nd, and we're thinking as a club to participate in that. And I'll put the registration form down below. There is a deadline I made, which is January 9th, so please fill that out if you want to attend Camp Polyhacks, the hackathon. It's a very good event, and there's going to be industry professionals and a lot of networking opportunities, and it will look good on your resume, so please fill out that registration form, and I'm linking it down in the description below. So anyways, just to recap, in all of the other videos leading up to this, I first went over the design of our Connecting Pride web app, or whatever web app you're creating, and I went over just the backend functions. But I did explain how to integrate the backend with the front end so to make them work together. So in this video, we're going to be doing that, and in the next few videos, we're just going to be finishing it up and integrating the backend and front end. So as you can see on the home page, I just have all these placeholders, but we want these to be actual posts in the database. So to do that, we're going to have to call a backend function to grab all the posts that are existed in our database to upload them here. And we're going to have it so when you go to write, it can post a new post in the database. So in this video, we're just going to be integrating everything together and making everything work. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do the register page and make that work, and the login page. So essentially, when we create an account, we're going to have the user input their stuff here, and then when they click create account, it's going to call the function we made earlier in the last video in the backend to add a new user to our database. And then once that user is added to our database, the user could further log into their account. So I'm just going to demo it first, and then I'll walk you through the code. So I'm just going to name this one oSTEM1234. That's my account name. I'm just going to choose some random email that I don't even own, and then just put a simple password and then create account. So then it should call the backend, and right now there's the account in the database. So let me go to users and just show you what it looks like. Right here you can see that there is now oSTEM1234, so it worked. New users in our database. And now that that is all done, I'm going to go back here and we're going to log into that same account. So it was oSTEM1234. And then password, login, and then it logs us into the account, and then we go to our home page. So I'm going to walk you through the code that I made to do that. Okay, so now that I showed you the demo, I'm just going to walk you through all the code. I already made the code in the example app I'm doing because I feel like typing on the screen is going to make this video way too long. So anyways, you want to go to your repository, go to front end, and the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to add this new folder, and then in that folder you're going to want to create these three files: actions.js, context.js, and reducer.js. What this code does is essentially it remembers if a user is logged into an account or not across all pages. So what that means is once you log in, you want it to be able to remember you when you go to the right page and post something, and you want it to remember your username and stuff so that it shows that it's your post once you post it. So to do that, you want to create in the source folder context, and you want to do actions.js, context.js, and reducer.js. So I'm going to go individually one by one in each of these files here. So Visual Studio Code. And also before I show you these files, please make sure that in your backend you have this .env file with the URL to the database. If you do not have this, then you won't be able to connect to your database and you'll have issues. And I will link what you need in this file below in the description. I'll just have the little string you should have in your .env file. Remember, in the backend. Okay, so back to what I was doing. In the context page, you're going to want to first create a file and name it actions.js. So in the context folder. So in this folder, you're just going to want to copy this code. Here we go. So you want a login start, so that identifies if a user is logged in. Login success to say if it's successful login. Login failure, logout, update start, update success, update failure. So these ones are just for like updating things, which we'll get to maybe in later videos, or I may leave that up to you for practice. But right now, these are what's important, but please just add all of it. So next, you would need context.js. So let me also open that up and walk you through the code. And feel free to pause the video or message me questions. This code here, I'm not too familiar with. It just helps get like Axios all set up properly, which is a module we'll be using. So next, you're going to want to import all of this stuff. Have the initial state. So basically, we're going to be storing all the user like information in local storage. You may be wondering what local storage is. Essentially, if you go over here into expect element, if you go to application, there should be local storage right here. And if we look inside this, since I'm logged in here from the demo, it has a key named user and all that user's information, and that helps us like basically it helps the program memorize that who we are as we go to each page of the site or write a new post. So this is just storing whatever we logged in with within local storage. So other code knows who we are. So then next we do create context like this, and then we just define the context provider, which is this code here. And we set local storage to user. And basically, we just stringify the user that is passed into here that I'll get into once we go into the login code. And then we do just return context provider with all of the user stuff as the value, just like that. And then that should conclude context.js. And I'm going to go pretty fast through these three files because they're important, but their understanding it at a deep level is not of utmost significance right now. Okay, so next we're going to go to the reducer.js, so create that if you don't have it already. So we're just going to define the reducer, have all the stuff we defined in actions.js, so like login start, like that. Success, failure, update start, update success, update failure, and logout. And then please remember to do export default reducer, otherwise the code won't work. Okay, so now that we have all of this, you should be done with everything in the context folder that we need for remembering the user throughout all places of the site. Next, you need to update index.js to use the context file we made. So go to your index.js, and you're essentially going to add, right now, you shouldn't have like this part here. So just import the context provider we defined in the context folder, and then put it around the app like that. So then you should be good with index.js. And right now, this is not really integrating the backend and frontend yet. This is just getting things set up so we could call things from the back end. So it can get kind of confusing. So the next thing you're going to want to do after updating your index.js, you're going to want to go to your app.js. And within there, we're just going to want to use our context so we know if a user is logged in or not. So right now, this right now should be like set to something like true or false as the default value we defined for it. So again, this variable here identifies if a user is logged in or not, and depending on if that user is logged in, they can see certain pages, which we have in these conditionals down here. For example, let's see one. You cannot write a post or go to that page unless you're logged in. So eventually, I'm gonna have to change this stuff too. But for now, we could keep it. I think I kept it for development purposes. But anyways, basically just add this use context instead of the true false value you have, and make sure to import everything you need, the new stuff. So make sure these imports match. And this one we could just change this so if a user is logged in, we could go write post. If not, I guess we could just go to login or something. Settings, just go to login. If you want to check settings, you have to be logged in, obviously. And that should be good. Okay, cool. Now let's just test things out very quick. So right now, I should be able to go to write since I'm obviously logged in from the demo. And let me just restart everything. Get logged out here. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be logged in now. Let me just check storage to make sure nothing's there. Or there's something still there from the past. We could delete that. I don't think it should be. Create account, login. 1 second here. I must have messed the ordering up. Oh wait, am I even editing it in the right file? Oh, no, this is the wrong file. I've been editing this whole time. Okay, let's go to the right file. Sorry about that. I had a little confusion. We want to go front end, source, pages. I have like 2 versions of this repo, and sometimes it just causes me like lots of confusion. This is the one we want. So we have our use context. We want this one to be, just go to login. Let's just see if that works very quick. There we go. Since we're obviously not logged in, it's just gonna go to login. And then we need that for settings too, because you're not gonna be able to change your profile if you're not logged into it. So that should be all good. So make sure to update this part and make sure it's like that. And these are just paths to all the different sites to our website. And also, for example, now at work, so let's say we're logged in. And if we're logged in, of course, we don't need to create a new account. So if you go to this route, it's just going to take you to home. Same thing with login, since we're already logged in. And then for write, for example, if this is false, it's just going to go to login and prompt you to login. So it's all good now. So that's what your app.js should look like. Okay, so before we start the integration process, we're just going to want to add a proxy to our package.json in the front end. So let's go to our package.json. And just add this to the end, proxy localhost 3001. that is the port we chose to run our backend on. So basically, to integrate both the backend and front end, we're going to want to have both the backend running at the same time and the front end. And then this just provides the connection between the two, because the front end is running on port 3000 and the backend will be running on localhost 3001. So just remember to add this to your package.json and you should be good there. And also, before we start developing the login and create account functionality, make sure to do npm install Axios, since we will be using that in the next few steps. So I already have it installed, but I'll just do it again. So just npm install Axios. This should be good. And if it's not working, always do npm I, just to check for updates for all the modules and all that, all the packages, and you should be good. So next thing we're going to want to do is actually get to creating the create account page and integrating it with the backend. So you're going to go to create account, and you should already have a create account.jsx file. We just need to update it to work with our backend. So you could go into that file, and you're going to first import Axios. That's the thing we just installed. And make sure you have all these other imports if you forgot about them. You should already have all this. All we need to do now is handle the submission. So basically, when we submit that form, we want it to make a new user in our database if all the criteria is met. So like if there's even input and stuff. So to do that, you're going to go to your form, and you should already have this form created because we did that in the design part. And you're going to have each thing basically like make all these variables if you don't already have them and set their use state. And basically as the user types, those are going to get saved. So in each one of these input tags, you're going to have on change, and you're going to just set each variable as it's being typed. So just add that to the end of username, email, and password, like that. And then that should update all these variables in the process. Now, when the user is done inputting all their information they want for their account, they're going to submit the form. And on that submit, we want the code to do something. So to do that, we're going to have to define a function and call that function once that user clicks that create account button. So to do that in the form, you do on submit and then handle submit, and that's the function we'll be creating up here. So then next thing, you just need to create this function right above the return. And you define it just like that. It's an asynchronous function. And then you want to set e to .prevent default. So basically what that's going to do is if we have an error, it's not just going to like refresh the page or anything. It's going to just stay on the page and then tell the user, oh, I can't create your account, sad face. And then also set error to false, because we also need to define this variable up here. And this variable basically says if we should have that little can't create account sad face thing on our screen or not. And I don't know if I already went over this in another video, but you should also have this can't create account pop up here. And you code it in just like this, and it checks if there's an error, and if there is an error, it'll give you an error message, and if there's not, nothing will happen. Okay, so once you do that, you're going to want to try catch, and we're going to want to use Axios to call the backend to post to the database a new user. And in that post body, we're going to want to send the username, email, and password, because that's what we want to store in the database for each user that registers. So you can just go like this, and remember to put the await. If you don't put the await, you might have some issues. And then after we create the account, we want to change the location window or the route to login, so the user could then go log into their account. So basically, we're just checking if this didn't return an error here, and if it didn't return an error and everything was good and the account was created in the database, we're going to do window.location replace /login. So this just goes into the login area so the user could further log into that newly created account. If we have errors, we just want to log them just like this. And then also set error to true. And if there is an error and this is set to true, just like it is here, then this can't create account will be displayed. So I know that was like a lot, so please go back and pause this video if you get confused or I'm going too fast. So I could just demo it very quick again. Let's see if I am actually in the backend. So let me rerun. Hold on, I think I need to rerun both. Yep, I do. So just do npm start. Make sure to do npm start in the front end folder and the back end folder at the same time. If you only have one of these up, it's not going to work and you're not going to be able to test your code. Once you have both npm start in the back end and the front end and they're both running, you should be able to register an account. So let me just do that right now. Let's just name it exam. Why not? And then some random email just to test things, and then a password, and then create account. And there, it worked. We went to the login. And then let's try like some invalid thing. Okay, so if you don't put any input at all, you should get can't create account. And that's the little error message I was talking about there. And for a further task is right now, let's say I just put stuff here, do create account. I didn't even have to put a password and it let me create an account. So for your web app, as a little side task I'm not going to implement, is you could add more like criteria in checking to create an account, just so you make sure that you need a password of certain length and all that security stuff. But for the sake of simplicity, I'm not going to do that myself. I'm going to leave that up to you for like a little homework assignment, just so like a user could just choose not to have a password, because obviously that's not secure. And also maybe you could add some password criteria, like check if it's 8 characters or above, and that only that would allow you to create an account. So I'll just leave that up to you for some homework. So anyways, next thing we're going to want to do is create the login functionality. So once you basically create your account, you're going to want to log into it, and you want that information once you log in to be stored in local storage. So as you go across the web app, it remembers who you are and that you're logged in. Okay, just to finish up, we're just going to do the login right now. So to do the login, you're going to go to pages, login, and then you're going to go to login.jsx. You should already have this file here. We're just going to update some things to make it call the backend. Okay, so once you get in here, you want to import everything that I have imported here. This, you can delete that. It's just extraneous code that I don't need there. So import the context we defined in that file and Axios. And then in the login, you're going to have these variables just to like keep track of the password and stuff as the user types it. And then let's just go down to our form. So you should already have most of this code here. The one thing that is different is you're going to want to have placeholders for each thing, and you're going to want to have this ref variable that is just going to be set to each variable we want to change. So we're going to have one for the user name and the password. So what this means is let me just go to the login very quick. So basically, as the user types their username it gets stored in this variable, and as the user types their password, it gets stored in this variable. Okay, and now once that user is done, they're going to click login, and then it's going to call this on submit once we click the login button and submit the form, and we're going to pass an event into the handle submit function that we're going to define. And let me go up and show you that function. So you're going to want to create this new function right above the return, kind of like what we did for the create account button. And then you're going to want to do e.prevent default again, just so like if there's a login failure, it won't log anyone in. And then you're going to want to dispatch and do login start. And then you're going to want to use Axios to call the backend function we made in the previous video called login to log the user in. And this is just going to verify that the user actually exists in our database. If there's no user under that username, obviously you can't log into that account, and it's going to give us an error and say to us, try again. And if it's successful, we're going to set this to login success, and we're going to go to the home page. So after a user logs in and they're successful in logging in, they're going to be redirected to the home page so they can see all the posts. So we just do that by checking if this endpoint returns a response, and if it does, we just go to the home page. And if there's an error, we're just going to say, oh no, there's a login error. So once you have all that, the login should work now. And it should also store things in local storage once you log in. So let me just demo that very quick. First thing I'm going to do is create an account though, because I forgot all my old passwords. So I'm just going to name this hi. Okay, so I created a new account and now I want to log into it. And I click login. And it logs me in. So just to verify that we're logged in, I just want you all to go to the storage here. Go inspect element, application, then local storage, and then you of that account you just logged into. Just like that. And right now, logout is not going to work, so don't even try to log out. We didn't create that code yet. So the only way to log out is by just restarting everything for now. Okay, so the next and final last step for this video is we're going to want it to make sure that logout doesn't appear here if you're not even logged in. So as you can see now, I removed it because I'm just going to walk you through the code that I created. So essentially, if you log in, just like that, a logout will now appear, and then you could just log out. So to add this functionality, what you're gonna need to do is you're gonna need to go to source in your front end, components, and then navbar. Remember, navbar is our top bar right here. And then you're gonna want to open navbar.jsx, which you should already have, and we're just gonna add some code to modify it and check if we're logged in or not. So of course, import all the context stuff we created, just like that, and then make a user variable to ensure that the user is logged in or not. And this is just for future reference. Or I think you should already have this actually, but anyways, just add this. Yeah, this is for future reference, I believe. So you can just ignore this for now, and I'll get into that in a later video. But anyways, you could just add that if you want it in for now or not. Or, I think we don't even need that. Just remove it. That's just extraneous code I forgot to remove while creating these videos. Okay, so once you create this here, you're going to want to then create a handle logout function. And basically what that is going to do is, if we have the logout button, if you click that logout button, it's just going to log the user out of their account by calling this logout dispatch, using this dispatch function here. So we're going to go down to Logout. And also you want to make sure the user is logged in, and that's the only way they're going to see this logout thing. So remember that if user is equal to true, that means someone's logged in, and if it's false, no one's logged in. So suppose it is true, and we are logged in. Then logout is going to appear. So right now we're logged out, so logout doesn't appear, but once you're logged in, it does appear. And then when you click that, like what I demoed, when you click log out, it just logs the user out. And I think that is all you pretty much need here. This profile picture stuff is, I was thinking of like adding it into these videos and having users have their own profile pictures, but I feel like just leaving all that stuff as additional homework for you to investigate, because I feel like it's best to learn by doing. So I'm just going to leave the profile stuff up to you as homework. But right now, this is just a placeholder. It's set to the default profile picture. But anyways, let me just log in one more time just to demo it. And it should be good. And if you have a profile picture, essentially what I was hoping for is if there would be a circle up here with your profile picture, but I don't think I'm going to go for the profile picture or the settings page in these videos, and I'm going to leave that type of stuff up to homework, like the customizability for your account. I cannot talk. Yeah, this should be the default profile picture, but I'm just going to leave that up to you. But essentially all you need here is to add this part. So in this video, just to recap, we did the create account functionality, login functionality, and logout functionality, and integrated the backend with the front end for those components. So we're done with this video, and hopefully all of that made sense and all those functionalities are working for you. In the next video, I will be covering how to integrate the backend with the front end for creating a new post, displaying posts like in all their thumbnails, and displaying an individual post. And then for homework, I'll just leave the settings page up to you, and in the settings page it's just where the user could like update their account and stuff. So anyways, that's it for this video. I hope you tune in for the next video, and that's all. Bye.